Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice's son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage, and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Remember the 4th of November, the day that this podcast came out. I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and this is Non-Censored. Hello and welcome to Non-Censored, the show which looks at the highlights of my very popular radio show throughout the week. I'm joined, as always, by producer Martin. Hello, Martin. How are you?
Very well. Very excited to be back for episode 23.
Yes, episode 23. Well, we're getting on with them, aren't we?
Oh, yes. Well, as long as they keep listening, we'll keep making them. That's what I say anyway.
Yes, indeed. I want to say a special thank you to Nadine Dorries for stepping in last week. I think she did a really good job. I think she showed that presenting can be very hard and it takes a really talented person to pull it off. And I'm very grateful to her for showing that to all of you.
Yes, she certainly tried her best. And was quite animated in it. We had a lot of letters in the mailbag from last week. I'm still making my way through them.
Now, it's a great show this week. We had, of course, Eshaan Akbar, our senior technology correspondent. We heard from A Braverman, who's had quite the week, and Michael Lavash, who, for those of you who don't know, was a wonderful MP who went on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And we have an interview with James Barr. There was, of course, some things that we just didn't get to keep in the show. We had a very, very funny interview with James Corden. Oh, it was a riot, wasn't it, Martin? He did this absolutely wonderful routine about a dead parrot. Really, really brilliant.
We did have to cut that out of the show due to well, there were some concerns about copyright, but we don't have to go into that.
No, it happens sometimes.
Well, yeah, two people, come up with similar material all the time. It could have happened spontaneously. We just don't know, but we're looking into it.
But first, let's listen to our interview with best lawyer in the world, A Braverman. She had a lot to say. And really, she really let rip, didn't she, Martin?
She certainly said a lot of words.
Let's take a listen. Suella, I want to start with a confession. When you resigned, I was devastated. I really was. I thought, we have lost a really important figure here. But you did your time. You apologised. You sat on the, call it the naughty step. And then you came back into politics like it had never happened, and I couldn't be more happy. And it's wonderful to see you back here.
Harriet, 7 days of timeout is it's an injustice. It's an injustice. Right. And I did that for this country.
Yes,
this country for the British people.
Wow.
I'm happy to do it, and I do it again.
Now, for our listeners who might be a bit confused about why you resigned, could you clear that up a bit for them?
Why? I don't know why we're dwelling on this at this moment in time, okay, when there is an invasion in this country of children on the bus during a school term, okay? They should be walking to school. They should be walking to the school via the low traffic neighborhoods that we have set up for them, free of cars and migrants, okay? Why did I resign? Because sometimes people love to watch you leave. And that's why I gave the public an opportunity to watch me leave. Like we're giving them the opportunity to watch migrants leave. Okay, but there's other things to talk about. And I don't know why we're dwelling on this. Why did I use modern communications to talk to people using modern communications in the way that I felt best, when we could be talking about the real issue right now, which is conservatories?
Okay, a few things to pick up on here. Firstly, you say you felt it was good for them to watch you leave.
I mean, I can leave again. I can do it again if you like. You know, I did it with a twirl. Then if you saw it outside number 10 or 11, I forget. It's all the same, isn't it? It's just a street. You walk up it, you walk down it. I mean, I don't like to brag, but I have been contacted by Kanye West because he's thinking that I could model for him, you know, and that's something I could do should I not prioritize this country as much as I do. Which I do.
No,
but back to conservatories. Okay, we have an energy use problem in this country, and that is expensive. And we have recognised that. We've given people discounts on their bills, but we need to give people conservatories more discounts because they are leaky. Okay, and I am working towards burning migrants.
But sorry. Could you clarify that burning? Sorry, it sounded like you said burning migrants.
Do you know something there? It did sound like I said that. It did sound like I said that. But what I did say was actually we are going to burn the migrants. So we can heat conservatories. Yeah, so we can heat them. Yes.
I've got to ask, you know, a lot of your policies do seem to come back to asking for a degree of accountability, that migration should be limited, that there should be accountability based on, as you say, the leaky conservatories. Do you think that perhaps you yourself have not been the best representative for accountability, considering you broke the ministerial code and then were put back into your position just a few days later?
Do you know what accountability means? Accountability means this. It means you getting some real protein into your diet. I mean, I can see your sunken eyes and your pallid skin. You're not eating enough meat, and now
you have all those things.
You don't have the energy to ask me questions that answer the questions that the British public don't want accountability. Do you know what they want? They want 2-for-1 Oreos. Why don't you ask me what we're doing to get the bug off offers back into the country? The bug off offers that the Labour Party don't want us to have because they think we can't control what we put in our mouths. Yes. I'll tell you something. Yes, we can. So why don't you ask the British people to be accountable for their own diets and give them buy one, get one free Jaffa cakes, Oreos, Chelsea buns. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Chelsea bun on special offer? When? I bet you don't even look because they contain butter. You're not of the people, Martin. Have a cheesecake.
I mean, that's a pretty accurate description of my diet, but I don't really see what that has to do with your position in government, because we talk about, you yourself said you had made a mistake, that you had recognized that and that you were sorry for it. It doesn't really seem like you were, considering there hasn't been.
Okay. How can I show you? I'm sorry. Okay, I just said to you. I didn't say it to you. Obviously, I don't speak to you. I'm only here because of Harriet. Anyway, I have apologized. Okay. I said sorry for the emails. Okay. What I'll not apologize for is saying to the British public, with me in charge, your bins will be collected on the days prescribed by that little chart that you have on your fridge.
Yes.
Have your bins ever been missed since I've been Home Secretary? No. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You're welcome.
You're putting the country first over the need for, so-called accountability. And I think that's very noble.
It is noble of me, but I want to put the word accountability in the bin. What does it even mean? Accountability. It's just one of those isms, isn't it? Accountability. Is it about accountants? Well, we don't like accountants, do we?
No,
what do they do? Just make you pay more tax. And what do taxes do? Make you pay more things. They just pay for things.
I mean, they also
I can't think of anything.
Pay for essential services.
Essential services. If they were essential, wouldn't you just do your best to get them yourself? If the school is essential, you don't know your ABCs. What do you need the state to teach a child the alphabet for? Are you thick?
That's such good point.
I mean,
good point.
I feel like education is generally accepted as a good thing to have in a society.
I think you shouldn't rely on the state for anything. I think you should pull your socks up, okay, which you purchase yourself with your own money, okay, not from the state, not from the welfare state, and educate yourselves. It's all out there. It's on the internet. Just log on to FreeServe. We all have it. whatever you use. There's loads of BT Internet. There's loads of them. And educate yourself. There's loads. You can go on YouTube.
I don't even know how to Google.
Don't get me started. The things you could learn off of YouTube. Oh my! You could learn things like how to push boats back into the channel.
Yes.
How to build a tent. I did it myself, and I put 20 people in it. It's amazing. So, what's these schools for? You got YouTube. I'm going straight to whoever's education section. Right, I forget. It's just that they haven't changed the nameplate from Gavin's.
Should we just call them Gavin for now?
Well, why not Gavin's? Because I really liked Gavin and that girl, Gavin and Tracy or Stacey. I forget. It was a name, but lovely working class people, and I love watching working class people do their best, and I think they did their best in that show.
Suella, now I do want to briefly. I'm sorry, I don't want to be upsetting for you, but I do want to briefly touch on sort of the latest news. And there's been claims that you refused to sign off on hotel bookings for migrants. So the processing centre that was supposed to hold up to sort of 1,600 people for no more than 24 hours has had over 4,000 on the site. Before we go, it'd be great if you could just quickly put this matter to rest.
It's already been put to rest, and it's been put to rest by the fact that Hermes has been purchased by Every, and the service is still terrible. Okay, so let's be real. Should I be delivering hotel rooms, or should I be delivering your wind-up radios that you will need because the energy is not going to last? Let's be real. And, it's been thrown over fences, underneath cars. I mean, how's that going for you? How is every service going for you, Harriet?
Well, Suella, can I just say thank you so much for clearing all of that up. I think that's really put people's minds at rest. And I'm so sorry that you are being, dragged through the mud by the lefty mainstream media.
I mean, they're not dragging me. They don't have the energy like we've discussed. But, they're nudging.
What a woman, Martin.
Yes, she exists. That's for sure.
Another person who exists is, of course, our senior technology correspondent, Eshaan Akbar, who came once again for his hot and spicy tech away of the week. We are joined by our senior technology correspondent, Eshaan Akbar.
That's not strictly the title. It's Technologenius.
Right, fine. Okay.
Technologenius.
Now, Eshaan, what is your hot and spicy takeaway of the week?
Are we still sticking with that kind of naming?
We have to use the jingle.
Quite good. I sort of did a little.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, budgets are budgets, I suppose. So the greatest man in the universe, Elon Musk, because he is objectively the best man in the universe, not just the world.
I don't know.
Now, as you know, he's been shopping recently. He's been on a little shopping trip, and he bought the social media platform Twitter. And much has been made of his purchase of Twitter, but already Elon is setting out his stall as to what kind of Twitter and social media world he wants to create, because he has suggested that people who are blue tick verified. Producer Martin, I presume you're not blue tick verified?
Don't be silly. Of course he's not.
No, No. I've got a little blue heart next to my...
Yes. Whereas Harriet and I, we are, of course, blue tick verified.
Blue ticks, yes.
Elon Musk has suggested that he will charge the princely sum of $8 a month, or 7 Great British sterling pounds, to give the blue tick to anyone who's willing to pay that amount. Now, initially, it hadn't started at $8. It started at $20, but some good negotiations with the author, Stephen King, meant that he was able to reduce it down to $8 a month. And frankly, I think this is a very good idea. It's a very good way.
Eshaan, does this mean... Hang on. I thought it meant that people who have the blue tick will have to pay $8, but you telling me that people can buy a blue tick?
Well, presumably, if you're willing to offer $8 to Elon Musk, he'll probably give you a blue tick. I think that's a fair exchange.
No, sorry.
What? Why not?
What? No. Well, then you're going to have all sorts of people. Then, well, actually, producer Martin hasn't got any money, so he won't. But you'll get all sorts of riffraff getting blue ticks if you start doing that. At the moment, it's a great system where Twitter chooses the good and the great and says, yes, you are notable enough for a blue tick. Isn't the worry if people start having to pay for a blue tick? We'll get all sorts of, these nouveau rich people paying to get their little blue ticks when they've done nothing of note. when
Yes,
they're not a opinion changer like myself, or a comedian and tech expert like yourself.
Technology genius. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure that's a word.
It is. Now, I think that if you are a verified person now on Twitter,
yes,
if you really value your place in modern society, you ought to be willing to part with $8 to have that privilege. Now, Elon Musk said that the previous method of blue tick verification was a lords and peasants system. What Elon is suggesting is an apartheid system.
Sorry?
An apartheid.
Oh, wow.
Because it's $8.
I'm not sure we should be doing wordplay on
Why
that.
not?
But
see, as a blue tick verified person, I feel like
sorry, Eshaan, can I just clarify? Is that one of your jokes?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, I wasn't sure, but now you told me. That's very good. Oh, it's very funny.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, honestly, it's so good having a comedian on here.
This is the kind of thing that you will now be able to say on Twitter, of course, with the, further reaching freedom of speech that he's been trying to push.
Well, that's the thing, is he? I mean, he's made a big thing in the past about freedom of speech and talking about maybe getting Donald Trump back on the platform. I mean, is it now going to be pandemonium? Is everybody going to be flying around with opinions here and opinions there? I mean, what sort of Twitter would that be?
Ultimately, we know that the people who've got money, they're real people. One of the reasons that Twitter introduced this in 2009 was to make sure that there was verification of real individuals. There's lots of imposters out there. And so if you're able to afford $8 a month, we can verify that you're real. I mean, I'd love to see the advertising campaign for just $8 a month. Martin could have a verified Twitter account and no longer have to walk miles and miles just to be verified.
Why are you saying that's very upsetting? Producer Martin shouldn't have a blue tick.
It would help. There's been some. I think there's been some impersonators. People
impersonating you?
Trolling, I think they call it.
There is an impersonator of producer Martin. He just talks about his diet and his dogs.
So real.
And then occasionally asks people for their bank details.
I'm surprised. Has anyone ever impersonated you, Harriet?
Very well on me, but...
Eshaan, all the time. Get these impersonators, and I have to tell my followers, no, don't listen to her. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't want this to become a thing where anyone can get verified. I mean,
what would you rather they do, Harriet?
I think it should be free for the chosen few.
And who chooses?
The behind-the-scenes Twitter people who know when someone's important and they give you your little blue tick, those people.
So what if they thought, I don't know, Ash Sarkar deserved one?
No. Okay, she would, yes, actually, she can pay. I think maybe we have a system of some people pay and some people get it for free because their importance to culture and to the world denotes that they need
Jeremy Vine?
Do you know what? He can have his blue tick. Sure. Fine. Okay. I would say, though, Keir Starmer should pay for his blue tick.
But Rishi Sunak shouldn't?
No, don't be silly.
What about Jane? Can Jane get one?
Why Jane isn't famous?
No, I don't. Well,
no. Why would Jane get a blue tick?
No, but she has got the book coming out.
She has got a book coming out. What's the name of it? So, how to leave your partner in 101 days?
No, it's a working title still, and I don't want to discuss it because it's still very much under wraps.
What to do if your partner stays in his shed most of the day?
Listen, I go out there to give her space to work on it, so it's just the best way to do it. I don't know how.
I still don't like the idea of having to pay for my tick, but I suppose it could become the Eton of social media.
Yes,
yes.
The panacea.
Yeah, keep the riffraff out, and the important people are communicating to the world, and everyone else can, go on Facebook or whatever it is.
Yes.
Well, if you go on Martin's Instagram, it's just pictures of his dogs or children. I can't,
Why is 6 afraid of 7?
Why is 6 afraid of 7?
Because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, Eshaan.
This is.
Do you tell that when you're on stage? Was that something you've told before, or was that an exclusive?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, brilliant. Oh,
Do you know what? I'm such an advocate of this idea that they might call me the masturbate.
I can hear people switching off in droves.
We can't keep going at this rate.
Comedy set continues.
No, but Martin, you were listening to him. He's so funny. He's so funny, Martin.
Martin, you're making me late.
Are we broadcasting?
I don't appreciate this trait.
Yes. Oh, goodness. He just carries on. He just carries on. You think he'd get bored or everyone listening, but we don't. No. We just don't.
I must go. There's a train coming with my freight.
Okay, I don't understand. All right.
He's just saying.
Eshaan, always a pleasure.
See you late.
Oh, great. Now, we're all very excited, aren't we, Martin, about the upcoming series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It's your favourite programme, I believe.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just like those little, the fun trials that they get up to. What are they going to be eating next week? That's so much fun.
Well, one person who's going to be eating something next week is Matt Hancock, who joined The Jungle. And here to talk about it, we had in former MP Michael Lavash, who himself was a contestant on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Now, Michael was actually one of our first guests back in June, wasn't he, Martin?
Absolutely. Great to have him on then, and great to have him back.
Let's have a listen. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Immediately, when I heard the news that Matt Hancock was going into The Jungle, I thought, there's only one person I want to speak to, and that is former MP Michael Lavash, who himself went into I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Yes, exactly. I'm something of an expert on being not only in politics but also being a celebrity, and I am a celebrity.
Yes, everyone's heard of you. I don't need to give the listeners a backstory at all. Is it funny watching Matt Hancock going through what you yourself once did?
It's always funny watching Matt Hancock. That's something I used to enjoy about being in the government, was just waiting around to see what he did. I once saw him get his arm stuck in a vending machine. He's that sort of guy. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to him entering The Jungle because I think he will provide immense comic potential, and at the very least he might get bitten by something poisonous.
Did he ring you beforehand and ask for advice?
He did ring me beforehand, but I find with Matt it's best to let it go to voicemail.
But I have a question, sorry, just about this time in The Jungle. Do you think it'll give him time to reflect? I mean, obviously there's been a lot going on. If you sort of think about Matt Hancock's series of failures in his post, I mean, perhaps this is an opportunity for him to just think about what he's done. A bit of a naughty step, albeit a celebrity one.
Yeah, I think possibly. It's very hard to get too much time to reflect when you're sucking the guts out of a bug's anus, but I do think it will be a good chance for him. Yeah. That's if he's not peddling cryptocurrency, which I know he likes to do.
Michael, some of the criticism that has been thrown at Matt Hancock is he shouldn't be doing this. I mean, he's had the whip suspended. Now, when you went in The Jungle, you had already been how do we put it?
Let's not mince words. I was sacked by mutual agreement.
Sacked by mutual agreement, certainly. So you went into The Jungle, in slightly different circumstances. But do you think Matt is doing the right thing? I mean, he said he feels this is the way to connect with the people. Did you find that you were able to connect with the people when you were eating, well, I suppose it wasn't kangaroo anuses for you, was it? It was more sort of Welsh rarebit.
The sheep's dick. Let's not, that's what it was.
Right.
Yes. I think I did connect with people. I think through my appearances on that show, people could see I'm a real human being. And I think people softened to me, up until the point where I started berating diversity in television and then got pulled off the air. But before that, people were really on side. And I think it's a great opportunity for Matt to finally appear personable and human. I think he better not squander it. He better not squander this opportunity. But knowing Matt, he probably will.
And do you think, Michael, when you went in the jungle, in the Welsh castle, they experienced a very, very high volume of calls for you to do the various trials? I mean,
this is the thing. I haven't really had much chance to talk about my time on the show, but I did get voted to do a lot of bush tucker trials. I would, I don't have the figures to hand, but I would say 100% of the trials I took part in, and I'm not really sure how that happened. I came out with the most votes for every trial, even the trials that I wasn't up for, and I'm not sure how that happened. But I would look. It's not for me to say Russian bots got involved. Certainly a lot of the votes seem to come from the southeast area, but I would say that those votes were not real. I think I was stitched up there. I think they were looking for a scapegoat, and they didn't want it to be David Ginola.
Michael, do you have any suggestions as to how Matt might best navigate his way around the other contestants? I mean, he's going to be in the jungle with some comedians. There's some entertainment personalities. There's going to be a lot of big personalities in that jungle.
Yes, well, that's the wonderful thing about Matt. He is an incredibly small personality. You could stare at him for quite a few minutes and not realise that he's not a mannequin. So I think that will balance out the team there. But I think he's got a fun side as well. I remember him laughing with his mates at the pub that he gave 40 million to for that COVID contract. He likes having a laugh, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he spars with Sue Cleaver from Coronation Street. I think there's a pairing there. I think that's going to be, I don't want to say the curse of Strictly, but if he gets off with her, he gets off with her. I can't stop that.
Michael, do you think it made your life better? Is it going to be a good thing for Matt career-wise?
Funny you should say that, Harriet. It actually made my life worse because I went on the show. As I say, I got pulled off. Not those words, but then I find myself cancelled. And I wrote a book about it called It's Not Easy Being Cancelled. It's Actually Very Difficult, How I Survived a Life on the Outskirts of Woke Society, the Michael Levash story, brackets or sass mouth. And that book also got cancelled. So no, my life didn't get better. So I don't expect that Matt's will, but he's done the decent thing and he's got himself cancelled before going into the jungle. So, I think that was a smart move on his, because really the only way from here is down.
Michael, thank you so much. Before we say goodbye to you, can you remind our listeners where they can find your book, if anywhere?
Absolutely. You can find my book, It's Not Easy Being Cancelled, It's Actually Very Difficult, How to Survive a Life on the Outskirts of Woke Society, the Michael Levash story, brackets all sass mouth, at any good Sue Ryder bookshop or my car boot on the third Sunday of every month in Nipslip.
And did it even raise sales? I mean, one of the reasons it looks like Matt might be going in is to promote sales for his book about how he won the pandemic.
Well, that's the other bloody thing, right? Look, I didn't want to get into it, Harriet, but now you've brought it up. Matt has been like a shadow over my career forever, okay? So who was it that was starting handing out COVID contracts? Me. Then who did it? Matt. Who was it that got himself sacked? Me. Then who did it? Matt. Who was it that went into I'm a Celebrity? Me. Then Matt. Then I got cancelled. Matt's getting cancelled. Now he's got a book. I'm getting bloody sick of this. I don't care whether he shifts any books, okay? Do you know how many books I sold? I sold 34 books, okay? And 2 of those was to my mum. So unless my mum's going to buy more books than that from Matt, I don't expect he'll do very well out of it. And frankly, I don't care.
Michael, I'm sure you'll get a lot more book sales after this. Thank you so much for coming on the programme. It's wonderful to speak to the original Matt Hancock, if you will. Have a good...
No, I won't.
Now, our interview this week was with James Barr, who is a British radio DJ, a TV presenter, a podcaster, and a comedian. He's best known for his award-winning podcast, A Gay and a Non-Gay, with Dan Hudson. He is, of course, very wokey, and I negotiated that as best I could. But we all had fun, didn't we, Martin?
Oh, it was wonderful chatting to him. I think we could have chatted for hours.
Here it is. welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What an honour to be here as a representative of the wokerati community.
Well, unfortunately, producer Martin does like to book quite a few of them in. But, we are someone who likes to hear from all sides of the corners of the wokerati, because that's what we're about. We're not about repressing any voices. We're about letting them sing. And then we sing, hopefully louder and more in tune, and just sort of die them out, really. And that's what we're hoping to do with you today.
It's sometimes an oppressive song, but, we find that a lot of people join in.
I guess that's why it's called non-censored, because
you
are not censoring
you're very
people.
Right.
Maybe just singing over them.
Yes, just singing. I mean, James, I shouldn't really tell this is about you. But actually, you are a gay man, so maybe this is something you know about. But I'm in talks with someone to do a musical of non-censored. Yes.
No way, really?
Yes.
Wow. What kind of musical are you hoping to put on? Because obviously a lot of gay people do love musicals, but if it is a right-wing musical, it may not do so well.
Well, no, I think there's a few gay Tories. My friend Darren, he's very excited by it. And
disgusting.
No, it's not. It's going to be based around me as a sort of solo voice standing up to the wokerati and those who eat too much tofu and things like that. And then different parts of the left will sort of come in and sing, and then I'll do a bit of singing. And I think it's really beautiful. It's going to be written by my friend Jan. She hasn't written a musical before, but she's a new talent, and I think we should put that forward. Yes.
Jan does sound like a tough in terms of the sort of name.
Can I, James?
We could just check that she's
James,
not.
No, James, we don't use that word here on the show. It's a racial slur, and I won't have any of it.
Right.
I wasn't aware that it was a racial slur.
No, it's a racial slur. If you could, Martin, I'm sorry to butt in, if you could cut that.
I'll do some bleeps. I'll put some bleeps in.
Yes, some bleeps in. Now, James, on to less controversial topics than you slurring a whole misunderstood community.
I wasn't aware that it was the TERFs, the gender critic community, that were misunderstood. I think it's more trans, non-binary, queer people that are misunderstood by the TERF community. I just need to correct you on that, Harriet.
Well, that's an interpretation. I mean, TERFs, I'd say, are also a minority. Yes,
but I would not argue for the rights of certain minorities. For example, racists don't deserve rights either. I'm not sure they deserve our respect.
Well, that's interesting, James. Let's pick that apart for a moment, because if we are giving voices to minorities, then why not? Why not give voices to the racists?
I mean, it does remind me of a conversation. Oh, sorry,
No, I'm just panicking. It's fine. It happens a lot in this show. Please continue, James.
It reminds me of a conversation I had with a so-called gay conversion therapist, actually, in Northern Ireland, in a documentary I did called From Gay to Non-Gay, where we found out whether or not you could be turned into a non-gay. And the conversion therapist argued that people that are no longer gay, who've had conversion therapy, should also be allowed to march in the Pride Parade. It is hard to argue with that, but it does make no sense whatsoever.
Why would they be marching in the were they proud for now being straight?
Exactly, proud of being now straight, yeah. Which I think is similar to your racist argument.
Yes, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, with minorities? It's always a case of which one do you listen to? And I see your point. If you're looking at racists and non-racists, maybe the non-racists do, of course, win.
Great.
But let's not.
I'm sorry. I've come here for an interview, and all that's happened so far is I've just corrected you on everything you've said. So I would like to apologise for that.
I mean, I'd quite like to hire you full time to do the job, to be honest, James.
No, James, I appreciate that. As another minority, a white middle class woman, it's also something I struggle with. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
Yeah, right.
Now, James, you have a podcast, a gay and a non-gay.
That's
with
right.
Dan Hudson, who is
the
non-gay.
Dan is the non-gay, and I am the gay. Yeah,
you are the
gay. Correct.
I have a question for you. Why do you have to talk about being gay?
I could ask you the same. Why do you have to talk about being a white middle-class straight woman?
That's very interesting. Hadn't thought of it like that. Well, it depends on what company I'm with, really. But I do like to keep my private life private. And being a woman is different from being gay, which is a bit more of a, a sexy thing, isn't it?
I don't know if it is. I think we're both oppressed. And I wouldn't call being a woman a minority, but I think we're both oppressed groups. I think women face a lot of discrimination and are also suffering from patriarchal ideals. I think we suffer in similar ways. And I don't think it's that I'm always talking about being gay, but I think that we are very often silenced as a community. And it's really important for us to discuss our experience so that straight people know that it's not just a straight world. Like, I think people really need to understand our differences so that we can move forwards as a society.
But it's a bit naughty, though, isn't it?
What's naughty? Being gay?
Well, just anything kind of sexual. I mean, for example...
I think you've misunderstood me there, because I don't think being gay is inherently sexual. Why are you labelling that as something that's sexual?
Well, because
would you say that being non-gay is sexual?
Yes. I mean, you don't see Boris Johnson talking about his private life, do you?
But you do frequently see him having children, which, basically is the same.
Do you think him having children is kind of another... Basically,
well, I mean, him having children is a badge of honor, isn't it? Saying,
yes, they are
how much
sex trophies. Yeah,
exactly.
I don't think we should really start talking about children as sex trophies, but they're certainly an indicator that someone has had.
Well, how many sex trophies do you have, Martin?
Oh, well, no, I mean, it's not.
Martin's got quite a few, actually.
No, let's not go into this, because my family comes into the show a little too often, to be honest.
Well, and how many sex trophies do you have, Harriet?
Oh, James, I don't have any. I borrow other people's, but none for myself.
So I don't have any sex trophies as a gay man. So for you to say that being gay is sexy, I think that's really offensive. I don't think that's what it is at all.
Do you think that perhaps you've just not been having sex at a high enough level in order to achieve a trophy? Or, I mean...
So we started this interview by you saying, why do you have to talk about being gay all the time? And now you're asking me how much sex I've had, which is a confusing question, really. If you don't want to know about my sex life, why are you now asking me about it?
That's just how our interviews work if we're interviewing people who are gay.
It is good for the numbers as well.
Yeah.
I've probably slept with I'd say I've slept with probably over 100 guys.
Yes, me too.
But no actual sex trophies, sadly.
No.
Because I do practice safe sex.
No, listen, I want to make it clear, I'm not implying that being gay is inherently sexy. I just mean talking about one's private life. I mean, I'm of the old-fashioned view that we should just repress, keep your private life private. And if you are going to do a podcast, do it about exploring cultural ideas and politics like we do, and not about yourself and your sex life and your life and then your straight friend's life. I mean, it's all a bit personal, isn't it? I mean,
I don't think we're always discussing our sex life. Sometimes we do discuss politics. We've been talking about the mess that the Conservative Party is in for quite a while now. We've also discussed how there should be queer people on Love Island. Sometimes we talk about bisexuals. We talk about the trans experience as well. So it's not all just gay.
Okay, well,
I think you get quite a lot out of it,
I would put that all under the umbrella of gay. But, that's just me. Talking about politics, I don't know if you've been aware of this, but the Foreign Secretary has been accused of telling gay fans travelling to the World Cup to be less queer after warning them they need to compromise to stay safe there. I'm not sure if this is something you're aware of.
I'm very aware of what the Home Secretary said, yes, and I'm incredibly offended by it. I think it's a disgusting thing for someone in public office to say. He's basically suggesting that gay people should be less gay if they want to be safe at the World Cup. And that's it's ridiculous. If you were telling straight people to visit a hostile country towards straight people and saying, like, oh, if you're just less straight, they won't kill you, people would be mortified by that. They'd be grossly offended, but it just shows how much the government don't care about queer people.
Well, do you think it would help if the gays had more oil? That's
an interesting question. I suppose gay people don't own a country, so that does prevent us from owning oil.
People country.
Do you suspect that the World Cup is only happening in Qatar because of oil?
Well, I just think it helps, doesn't it? It helps if you could have a little oil for a bit of leverage, because we do live in a dog-eat-dog world, and we have to be nice to them because we owe them an awful lot. Yes, that might mean a load of people having to go there and repress who they really are and not be themselves and be scared for their lives. But I think that's...
And potentially be murdered.
But, I think all of these things really are just quite trivial in the bigger picture, which is enjoying some good old football for some people who are doing rather a lot for our country.
Harriet, I think that is honestly, that is an appalling thing to say. That's an appalling opinion. You can't sit here and suggest that just because they're giving us oil, they can murder a good percentage of UK citizens who happen to identify as LGBTQ+. And obviously, I'm not saying they will do that. I'm sure they won't murder a foreign citizen on their soil, but the intent is certainly there, and it's what they do with their own citizens. And as one of the greatest countries in the world, formally, this country should be supporting queer people everywhere and telling them that they deserve to exist.
No, but we do. It's just, we do have to think about the oil. Now, look, it's not just with gay people. So, for example, Saudi, a bit of a questionable human rights record, not great to women, but does a lot for the UK. And I think, if I'm being honest with you, James, behind every good democracy is a slightly dodgy dictatorship that we do have to bow down to. And that's all we're doing here. That's all we're doing.
So you would happily lose all of your rights as a woman?
No, of course
oil?
not.
Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go over to Saudi anytime soon.
No, but you just said that you're happy for other women in Saudi to be oppressed and not have rights because they provide us oil.
Well, I'm not happy about it, but I just recognise that politics, we're playing hardball here, and because the Europeans have gotten a hissy fit about Brexit, we're really having to sort of look far and wide for people we can trade with. We can't pick and choose anymore because of the Remainers. So we are having to trade with some people who, yes, okay.
But that makes no sense. Why wouldn't we just trade with Europe? Why don't we just make friends with Europe, rejoin the EU, have a trade agreement that allows us to have goods flowing freely between our country and theirs, share
James,
energy, share security?
This sounds like a good idea.
James,
I mean, this sounds like a much better idea than being in bed with a oppressive country that murders LGBTQ plus people and oppresses its female citizens, no?
James, I hear you, but the truth of the matter is we've taken back control.
I mean, that makes no sense. What does that mean?
I have to say, I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise, but I do feel like James has quite a solid point here about the not encouraging the murder of, anyone, really. And by allowing the event, I suppose the only upside is that, of course, famously, football doesn't really have any gay players in, so it probably won't affect the people actually out there playing the game.
Well, I need to correct you on that, actually, Martin. There are gay people, obviously, in football. They're just not necessarily out.
Oh, right. So I'm sorry. I just took them at their word. It's just
Martin. It's because they kind of it's a different thing. Anyway, I mean, football.
It's tricky to know.
It is tricky to know. It is tricky to know. I wasn't sure when we booked James whether he was the gay one from the podcast or the straight one from the podcast.
Which one would you have preferred?
I think you're the best one.
I mean, you're a bit angry, James. I think that's the only
I think that you're angry, Harriet. I think you're angry, or maybe slightly dumb. I'm not sure which one it is.
No, I'm not dumb or angry. I'm
right.
a realist and
right.
a creative when it comes to singing, which not many people know.
So when you say we've taken back control, is this what control looks like at the moment in this country?
Sadly, yes. That's how. That's
climbing. Is that what control?
Yes, that's what's control. Well, but we got what we voted for.
James, right. The thing is, I just want to bring this up because I know that you are a vote leave. I think like in 2016, this is going to surprise you. I also voted to leave Grindr. But then I re-downloaded Grindr a couple of weeks later, and it's on my phone now. And I think we have the right as a country to change our minds. Yes. And it's okay, Harriet, if you want to sit here and say, actually, you know what, this was a mistake. Look at the mess we've caused. Let's go back into the EU. Let's join hands and make best friends with the EU again.
No, this is a typical Ramona argument. And also, can I say, Brexit's done some great things as well. It really has. We got the vaccine. We were able to help win the war in Ukraine. It's done a lot of really brilliant things.
I wasn't aware the war in Ukraine was won yet. And actually, there's also a lot of LGBT people suffering in Ukraine. So I'm really pleased you brought that up.
Well, listen, I don't want anyone to suffer, and I am very pro LGBTQ I very pro all of that.
James, I'm so sorry. I know we're pressed for time. We do just have a little game that we wanted to play with you. I mean, I know we focused a lot on the LGBTQ rights angle, and you are, of course, a broadcaster and a comedian in your own right. However, we do have a little game that the audience are particularly into. It's we have a regular section on the show. It's called Is It Woke? And we thought we could play a little sort of spin on that called Is It Gay? So I'm going to give you the name of an item, and you can just tell us whether it's gay or not. So it's the sort of...
Great.
Okay, so here we go. Halloween.
Gay.
Dogs.
Gay.
Kwasi Kwarteng's mini budget.
Gay.
Oh, interesting. Okay, eggs.
Gay.
Diwali.
Gay.
Podcasts.
Gay.
Sandwiches.
Not gay.
And the war in Ukraine.
Not gay.
Okay, good. Well, that's...
Yeah. It's almost like being gay is not a minority at all. Well, listen, James, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And I think what's good is we have realised that when it comes to, we support LGBTQAI rights, but...
You're really struggling with that.
I'm just not woke, it's hard. But also we support oil and...
I'm not sure I agree with you on the oil. I think we'll have to agree to disagree.
Okay, all right.
On that one.
Yeah.
Harriet, also, I just want to leave you with a tweet that I read from Gary Lineker a few days ago, which I think sums up the Qatar issue great. Whatever you do, don't do anything gay. Is that the message?
Who sent that?
Gary Lineker?
Yeah, he did do the crisp advert.
Yeah. So I think if he can see the holes in what the Home Secretary said, then we should all be able to recognise how awful the government's position on this is.
And that was the show. Pretty darn good, if I say so myself, Martin.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's going straight into my top 23 shows that we've released.
Yes, I think so. I think me too. Now, please remember to... Martin, you tell them. What is it?
Well, you can rate our show. Yep. You can give it a like. You can give it 5 stars if you want. You can
yes, please.
Fun note saying, what your favourite thing is. Or you could send us an email, even, at noncensoredpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from you, as long as it's nice things.
And we'll see you again next week, with thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, Athena Kugblenu, Rob Gilroy, Ed Morrish, and special guest James Barr. This has been Non-Censored.